Let's freeze some leftover butternut squash here. I've been invited to an event and I was supposed to bring a side dish, so I made potatoes and butternut squash with thyme and rosemary. I did a video on it a few months ago and I'll link it, but it came out great. But butternut squash are pretty big, so I have some left, and what I'm going to do is freeze it. It's easy to freeze, but preparing it for the freezer is hard because these things are just like... they're really tough to cut. So right now what I've got to do is prepare the rest of it for the freezer. So I'm not going to try to cut it this way. I'm going to cut it as safely as possible, and that is putting the flat end down like this, and then I'm just going to go like this. So you always have a flat end to work out of. So I'm going to scoop these seeds out of this right now and move them along. I think you can roast these like pumpkins. I really like butternut squash. I grow it in the garden. However, this butternut squash I had to purchase because I've used up the ones I grew already. So I have to grow more. Okay, here's 1/2 out. Almost out. These are easier to take care of than pumpkins. I've done cleaning and cooking of raw pumpkins, and these winter squash and pumpkins are quite a struggle. They are built to survive. Really very hard, and they last a long time. These can last probably most of the winter and into the spring if they're stored appropriately. I think they're one of the longest lasting winter squash. So if you're setting up your pantry to accommodate vegetables, raw vegetables, then this is a good one to have because it'll last you a long time. You'll have to finish other ones earlier, but this one will last you. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the rest of this out with a spoon, and I'll be right back. Okay, that's good enough for now. For peeling it, what I do is I generally cut this into chunks and just use a knife to take the peeling off. It's very hard otherwise. Let me get these cut. I cut them up. When I freeze them, I cut them up into bite-sized chunks. So I'm going to take a small knife and just cut out the rest of the pulp here, just like that, scoop it out. And then I'm going to cut the peel off of the outside. If you don't want to do it this way, then you can always cut the butternut squash in half and roast it face down in the oven or in the crock pot, but you'll get a different product. You'll get kind of more of a mashed product. I want to use these for roasting later, so I'm doing it this way. So let me grab one of these, this one. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut that peel off. Just like that. And then cut it into bite-sized pieces. These will be fine for roasting or baking when you take them out of the freezer. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest. No more processing is needed at this point. You just need to put them on a cookie sheet, kind of separate them, and put them in the freezer until they are completely frozen. It takes several hours. It depends on your freezer, but I know for mine it takes several hours. Just like that. Just spread them all over, and we'll come back to this when they've frozen. Ready to go. So these are done and out of the freezer. Were individually frozen, so I'm going to put them in some sort of freezer container and they won't stick together. When they defrost, if you're ready to cook them, they will be softer. They will be softer than they were coming in. I usually, if I'm going to roast these, I will just take them right out of the freezer and put them in the roasting pan with the potatoes and just do it that way as if they were fresh. If I want to speed up the process of roasting the potatoes and the butternut squash, I'll put the potatoes in the steamer and soften them up, and then I'll put them in the roasting pan with the butternut squash. If the butternut squash was fresh, I'd suggest steaming that too, but because this is already softened from being in the freezer, you can just put them in. You don't have to pre-steam them like the potatoes. So hopefully this has been of use to you. I really like butternut squash. It stores so well in its raw form, and it stores fine frozen too. So thank you so much for watching.